Hi, and welcome to Fab Crafts and More. This is Wendy, and today I'm going to show you how to make a card decal out of permanent adhesive vinyl with your Cricut machine. I've opened up Design Space in my browser, and I'm going to choose New Project. This will take me to the canvas, and we are going to choose our image. So I'm going to go over here to the left side of the canvas and choose Image. I'm going to choose an image from Cricut Design Space. I'm going to show you a couple things that are kind of fun. So first I'm going to type in my state where I live. I live in Oregon, so I'm just going to make sure Images is highlighted. I'm going to come over here, type in Oregon, hit return, and look at all these images for Oregon that I could use to make a car basically sticker or decal. Just a ton of different things. And let's just go ahead and type in another state, random state, I don't know, how about Ohio? And we've got it for Ohio too. So pretty much any state you live in, you can type in your state name up in the search and you're going to come up with all of these fun images. I was also searching for some other images to use as samples, and I ended up typing in stick figure, and I'm going to go ahead and do it in that way, stick figure, and it came up with all of these little guys. Now, when you are in the images in Design Space, if you look down here, you can see if you are subscribed to Access, it'll say subscribed. You'll also have the little green A up at the top, but you can click on this I for information. It will tell you what the image is called. It will give you the image number, which is the number that you can use to find the image in Design Space. And it also gives you the name of the cartridge that it is included in. Now, old Cricuts used physical cartridges that you had to plug into the machine. It wasn't hooked up to the computer, and so each cartridge has a name. Still today, they refer to the image sets as cartridges, and so these little stick figures are all included in a cartridge called card decals. So you notice that when I hover over the green name of card decals, it's turning into a link. I typed in stick figure, so it's giving me all of these little stick figures. But if I click on card decals, it's going to take me to all the stick figure images and other images too that are associated with this card decals cartridge. So there's fun stuff. I'd rather be surfing. I'd rather be scrapbooking. I've seen, for people who are hunters, outlines of animals like that. Now, some of these are just the figure, and some of them, like this deer or elk, you can see there is the line with the details of the elk, but there's also the outlines. So I'm just going to bring this one into Design Space to show you how some of them are set up with layers. So I've clicked on the deer, and it shows you down here that that one is selected. I'm going to choose Insert Images, and it's going to bring it into my canvas. So let's enlarge this by just clicking on the image and then using the arrows to drag that larger. And over here on the right hand side, you can see there's two layers. If you click the little eyeballs, that hides and unhides whichever layer you've clicked on. So with these particular images in this card decals cartridge, you can also use them for scrapbooking or paper crafts. So you could cut both of these with both colors of cardstock and use them for a scrapbook layout or a card, or you can choose to just cut the detailed outline of the elk, or you could also just cut the basic shape outline. And I've seen both done for card decals. So that's just how these are set up. Not all of them have more than one layer, but a bunch of them do. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this and go back to images. It's going to take me right back to the last cartridge or search that I did. So anyways, there's all these really fun a smiley face, mom, dad, kids. There's you know, kids doing karate. I think that's actually mom doing karate right there. Here's little girl doing karate. We've got bicycles for cyclists. The other one that I see a lot on cars are these plumerias from people who like to go to Hawaii, and flip-flops. So those are some fun ones. I, though, want to do one for my state of Oregon. And so I'm going to type in Oregon. And I was in cartridges, and I actually want to be in images. So I clicked on that link that took me to the cartridge, so it automatically is trying to search for Oregon in that particular cartridge. If I go here and click on images, then it will take me to the full image library. And I've typed Oregon, so it's going to bring in all of the ones that are associated with Oregon. And there's a bunch, like there's even the state bird. There's different things associated with Oregon, like the Oregon Trail. And some of these are in different other cartridges too. So like this Oregon Trail one is in the cartridge Destinations. Salem is in 50 states. So that's how you can kind of figure out where you can find these images later. You could write down the number of the image. And when you're entering these numbers in, you do have to enter in the number sign, or what we now refer to as the hashtag, with the number. If you just type in the number, it won't come up. But this one's part of the Oregon, the Beaver State cartridge. So I want to choose something that's just really simple. This one right here. So I've clicked on it. It's outlined it in green. I know that's the one I want. Down here it shows me which one I've chosen. Then I can choose to insert images. You can click more than one. So I've clicked Oregon here, and I'm just going to click on another one to show you what it will do. I'm going to click on this one. Down here it shows you which ones you have chosen. So as you're scrolling through and you're trying to choose images that you like, and sometimes there's a whole lot of images that you're scrolling through, you can go ahead and click on several images to save them sort of down here where you can view them. And then if you don't want it, you can just click the red X and get rid of that. So I'm going to go ahead and insert this onto the canvas, and it's pretty much ready to go. Now I just have to figure out what size I want to make it, and I already measured the little area on my car window, and I want to make this sticker about 4 inches wide. So I can click onto the little arrows and drag it and watch this number for the width, and I can get in there and try and get it to 4 and get pretty close. Up here at the top, you can just go up and type in how big you want it to be. And it's in inches. I want it to be 4 inches wide. And click enter, and now it's 4 inches wide. So now it doesn't really matter what color is showing for this, because anytime you're cutting something, it's not the color that shows on the canvas that determines the color of your project. It's the color of the material that you physically place on your mat. So I could go in and I could make this green, because Oregon is very green. And I may be cutting it in green vinyl or green paper or green fabric, but I might be cutting it in black or pink. So it doesn't really matter, but you can get a visual on what it's going to look like by coming over here and clicking the little circle, which pops out the layer attributes. This is also where you can change it to cut, write, score, and print. But you can also change the colors if you just kind of want to see what it might look like in a certain color. So I'm going to go back and change it to black. Actually, I'm going to change it to white because that's the color that I do want to cut this out of. So another thing, if you notice on this file, is that, I'm going to make it bigger so we can see here, is that this is actually going to cut into 2 pieces. So we can sort of trace along the word Oregon, and if you take a look at it, this upper part's going to be 1 piece, and this lower part's going to be 1 piece. That's where the transfer tape is going to come in very handy in keeping this all in place. Okay, so I'm going to go back here, I'm going to type in 4, bring it back to the 4 inches that I want it to be. And then I'm going to come over here and choose Make It. Now this is one image file. This does not include the font as a separate piece or element. This was already created in Cricut Design Space. It's just one thing, so you don't have to weld or attach. It's all ready to go. So now we just have to put our permanent vinyl onto our mat and run it through the Cricut to cut. So we're gonna go over to the Cricut. Okay, so now here we are at the machine. I'm using the Cricut Maker, but this is totally doable on any of the other machines. We have our decal image on the mat and ready to go. This decal is going to go on the outside of the window, and so I'm going to leave it just like this. If you were going to place your decal on the inside of your window to be read on the outside, you would want to come over here and choose Mirror, and it would reverse that so that the sticky side would be on sort of the front, on the back, but depending on which side of your window you're going to put it on. But I'm going to be putting this on the outside of my window, and so it just needs to read the right way. But that's how you would change it to reverse it to put on the back side of a piece of glass. So what we're going to do is come over here and click Continue, and I'm going to go ahead and use my USB cord today instead of the Bluetooth. And over here on where you set your materials, you can see these little yellow stars. I've chosen my favorites materials to pop up first. You can click on Popular, and this is what Cricut has chosen as their popular materials. Or you can also click on Browse All Materials and go through the list of all the different kinds of materials that Cricut has to offer or that they think you might be using. Like you could cut it out of a cereal box. So you can come over here and type. I'm going to go ahead and type vinyl, press enter, and it's going to give me all the different kinds of vinyl. The vinyl that I'm using today is the Cricut Premium Outdoor Glossy Vinyl. And so I'm going to choose that over here, and Premium Outdoor Vinyl. Now, if you don't already have the little yellow star selected, when you click on one, it will give you the option to add that to your favorites. So this one already is. I'm going to push done. And now it's telling me up here that my material is set to Premium Outdoor Vinyl. Okay. It also tells me I do not need a tool in clamp A. I need to have my fine point blade in clamp B, which it is. And we're ready to load. So you can see right here that the load button is ready, but we are not. So I'm going to move this over here, and we are going to get our vinyl ready. So this is a new roll. I'm going to open this up with my X-Acto knife. Now, this particular roll of the Cricut Premium Vinyl is 12 by 48 inches, okay? We do not need 48 inches of vinyl. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut, I know that we have measured this to be 4 inches wide, so I am just going to take a piece of this, and I'm going to cut this by 3.5 by 4.5 inches. I'm just going to place this so that my edge is nice and straight along here. I have my Cricut ruler here, and I can use this as a guide. With a rotary cutter, I can just go ahead and cut right on the mat, because when you're using your Cricut is cutting on your mat too. So I'm just going to take this, and I'm going to go just about 3.5 inches down, like so. And so move this up to number 1. And then now I wanted to go down to about 3.5. So I'm just going to use my use this as a guide here, like so. And then there we've got it. So then I like to use my green mat for vinyl. The blue mat isn't quite sticky enough and the purple mat is too sticky. So now I'm just going to line this up right like so. And we're measuring it a little 4.5 by 3.5. And it's still blinking, ready for us to load our mat. I often preload my mat before I do this, but I wanted to show you how I was doing everything. So now when you load your mat, you want to make sure that you're placing the mat underneath these little white notches. If they are over the top and it feeds through, it gets stuck in the machine and you have to turn the machine off and pull it all out. So now that we're all lined up, I'm going to push the arrow button and it's going to feed the mat. When it's feeding, I usually give it a little bit of a nudge as it goes in to make sure that it's feeding in all the way. Then we push our flashing Cricut button because this is telling us that it's ready to cut. And now it's going to, after it detects the tool, it will cut out the design. Depending on how intricate your design is, it can take 30 seconds, it can take a minute, it can take 10 minutes. This one's pretty simple, so over here you can also see on the screen, it will tell you the percentage already cut, and then you can kind of figure how much you still have to go. And then when it's done, the arrows will flash again and it will also tell you over on your computer to unload the mat. So we're going to push the button there. And it's kind of hard on the white on white to see the cut lines, but I can see them. All right, so now we are going to weed this and put it onto the transfer tape. It's here on the mat. And I am going to grab my Cricut Extra Large Scraper. This works really well for removing most all materials off the mat. And you just get under the corner and it pulls it up super easy. Then I will put my mat away. And white on white is a little bit hard to see, but what you want to do is, this is the Cricut weeding tool. This works really well for me. I really like it. And you just want to find, and you can even with vinyl and iron-on a lot, if you fold it, you can even find the edge of one of the cut lines. And then you just want to take your weeding tool and get under there and pull. We're going to pull this outline of the state off, and it is also connected to the word. So you just want to pull gently. If you have small letters or letters that have dots like eyes, or it's a little bit hard to see, but where the O and the G have the inner parts, you just want to pull your vinyl off carefully and make sure that you're not pulling up those little parts, because on this particular image we want those little parts to stay. So get rid of that. And we'll just keep pulling with our fingers. This is a really easy image to weed with just your fingers after we got it started with the weeding tool. And then there's our state, okay? And now, in order to get this onto my car window, we're going to use some transfer tape, because it would be hard to just pull this off and pull off all the little inner parts and line those all off. So that's where the transfer tape comes in. So we're going to get that ready. Now this is the Cricut transfer tape. Sometimes the Cricut transfer tape is a little tricky to work with. Make sure you are not using the Cricut strong grip transfer tape on anything other than glitter vinyl. But for this, the regular Cricut transfer tape is going to work just fine. And I'm going to lay this over the top and just sort of see, I can use these grid lines to cut out a size that will work really well for this. And so I'm going to just use my marker here. I'm going to cut from here to here. And I'm just going to use my scissors. And just cut on that line. And you can use a paper trimmer, you can use your rotary cutter, but when it has these lines on it like this, I find it's easy enough to just cut along those lines. Put that over to the side. Okay, so then you want to get the transfer tape, pull that up a little bit like so. And what I like to do is get a little bit of it pulled up and then fold the backing back on itself and get this lined up. So I'm just going to come to the edge here and lay that down right over there. And then you want to try not to get air bubbles underneath here. So now that I have it, I'm actually going to move that down a little bit. Now that I have it lined up, it wants to keep going on the same spot. Now that I have that lined up, I'm just going to give it a nice push down, and I'm going to come underneath here and pull on that little bit. So, and then as I go, you can either use your scraper to push it down nice and even, and you kind of want to just make sure that you're not getting air bubbles under that, like so. And then now you can see that the transfer tape has covered up the design. All right, and now what you want to do is come in and use your scraper. You can use your fingers. If it's a really simple design, your fingers, especially with the Cricut transfer that's already pretty sticky, you can just give it a light rub. If you have a material that is a little bit harder to adhere to the transfer tape, you can come in and get rid of the air bubbles with your scraper, like so. Then you want to lift up on a corner of that transfer tape, and you'll see it's going to pull your decal off of, oh, you want to make sure you get all the little pieces. That little piece of the O is not wanting to come off. So I'm going to just give it a little rub with my scraper again. And sometimes also it's easier to turn it over and actually pull the backing paper off. You can see, I'm going to get my weeding tool here. You can see where that little part of the G is wanting to stick. So I can just sort of, you don't want to get your fingers on the decal because it'll get the oils of your fingers on there and it won't stick as well. But as you're pulling back, if any of these little pieces are sticking, you can just sort of push them down and get them back onto the transfer tape, and then you just pull it off, and we have our decal on the transfer tape. And now you would be ready to go and place this on your car window, or if you were going to put it on your phone case, you could put it on your phone case. For car decals, I do recommend the Cricut Premium Outdoor Vinyl, or there are other brands of outdoor vinyl that work really well. But all you would do now is use this sticky transfer to stick it onto your surface, and then line it up. This is a Teflon sheet, so it's things don't stick as well to it, but you want to be careful with this because this outdoor vinyl is very sticky, and if you get it stuck to another surface before you get it where you want it, you may not get it off very easily and you might have to cut a new one. But this is all ready to go. I'm not quite ready to put it on my car quite yet. My car is a little bit dirty and it needs to be washed. So you can either just place this back onto the transfer paper backing to store. Now, if you were going to send this to somebody as a gift, or if you're selling them, you could just leave this on the backing and send them instructions on how to get it off. You might want to also let them know to be careful when they're peeling it off so they get all the little bits. But that is how you create a vinyl decal and place it onto the transfer paper. I hope this was informative for you, and I hope you have fun making your own decals. You can do this in removable vinyl also if you're going to want to put it on something that you don't want it to be permanent on. So you could also do them with window cling and put them on your windows. That's really great for like college students who maybe want to have some sort of either their college logo or their home state on their window in their dorm room. Window cling works really fun for that. And any other material that you might want to use. But this is how you would make a decal for your car. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments and I will get an answer to you as soon as I can. Have a great day, everybody.